My friends, there comes a time in life when the weight of the world feels unbearable, when the noise of doubt, fear, and uncertainty drowns out the whispers of hope, when you look in the mirror and wonder if you're enough, if you're seen, if you're truly known. But let me tell you something. There is a fire that was meant to burn within you, a light that no darkness can extinguish, a love that is waiting to set your soul ablaze. Too often we move through life with hearts that have grown cold, distant, distracted by the temporary, by the urgent, by the loud voices telling us who we should be. But deep inside, beneath the layers of worry and exhaustion, there is a longing, one that calls for something more, something eternal, something that awakens the spirit within. That longing is not weakness. It is a sacred invitation. Tonight, I want you to ask for something bold, something powerful, not just comfort, not just answers, but transformation. A fire so fierce, it burns away every doubt, every fear, every chain that has held you back. A fire that purifies your heart, renews your mind, and sets your soul free to walk in truth, in purpose, in love. Because when the fire of the divine touches you, you will never be the same again. Think about what happens when a fire is ignited. It consumes, it spreads, it changes everything in its path. That is what happens when your heart is touched by something greater than yourself. Suddenly, the lies you've believed about not being good enough start to crumble. The shame that has whispered to you in the dark loses its grip. The burdens you thought were yours to carry alone become lighter because you realize you were never meant to carry them alone. But a fire needs tending, it needs fuel, it needs breath, and so does your soul. If you want to be set ablaze, you must open your heart. You must surrender the pieces you've held onto for so long, the pain, the guilt, the regret. You must make room for something holy to take their place. Tonight, wherever you are, take a deep breath and ask to be touched in a way that changes you forever. Ask for a fire so strong that no storm, no struggle, no doubt can put it out. Ask to be filled with a love that overflows, with a strength that carries you through the darkest nights, with a peace that makes no sense to the world. And when that fire comes, don't keep it to yourself. Let it shine, let it burn bright so that others who are lost in the dark might find their way home. Because this world doesn't need more people who are just getting by. It needs people who are alive, who are on fire, who are walking in truth with courage and compassion. The spark is waiting. The invitation is open. All you have to do is say yes. There are moments in life when the weight of it all feels unbearable. When you wake up with a heaviness in your chest, unsure if you have the strength to face another day, when the world tells you to keep pushing, keep performing, keep pretending that everything is fine, but inside you feel like you're barely holding it together. Maybe you've learned to carry it well, to put on a brave face, to be the strong one for everyone else. But deep down, you wonder, who will be strong for me? Who sees the struggle behind my smile? Who knows the quiet battles I fight when no one is looking? This weight, this exhaustion, this quiet ache for something more, it is not a sign of weakness. It is not failure. It is the soul's way of calling out for something deeper, something truer, something that no amount of external success or validation can satisfy. The world will tell you to numb it, to ignore it, to silence it with distractions. But what if, instead of running from it, you leaned into it? What if the very thing that feels like your breaking point is actually the beginning of your transformation? Because here's the truth, you were never meant to carry this weight alone. There is a love that sees you fully, every part of you, even the pieces you try to hide. There is a fire that was meant to burn within you, a fire that doesn't just warm you, but purifies, refines, and sets you free. But for that fire to come, you have to let go of what is weighing you down. You have to release the fear that tells you that if you stop striving, you will fall apart. You have to surrender the belief that your worth is tied to your achievements, your past mistakes, or the approval of others. Something happens when you allow yourself to be touched by something greater than you. The burdens you thought were yours alone to bear suddenly feel lighter. The loneliness that whispered you were unseen is replaced by a presence so deep and real that it fills even the most hollow spaces of your heart. The striving, the proving, the endless need to measure up, it all fades in the presence of something more powerful than fear, more relentless than shame, more enduring than anything this world could ever offer. So tonight, if you are carrying a weight that feels too heavy, if you have been running on empty, if you have been waiting for something, anything to remind you that you are not alone, this is your moment. You don't have to fight for this love. You don't have to earn it. You simply have to be open to it. Ask for the touch that changes everything. Ask for the fire that burns away the lies, the doubt, the exhaustion. Ask for the strength to release what no longer serves you so you can finally step into the life, the purpose, and the freedom that was always meant to be yours. There is something inside you that refuses to be extinguished, a longing, a whisper, a quiet but persistent ache for something more. You may have tried to silence it, convincing yourself that life is about getting by, about surviving, about making it through the day without breaking. But deep down, you know that you weren't made just to exist. You weren't made to live with a heart that barely beats, a soul that feels disconnected, a spirit that has grown cold from the weight of life. You were made for more. There is a fire that was meant to burn within you, not a fire of chaos or destruction, but a fire of renewal, of purpose, of passion, so holy and deep that it awakens every part of you that has been asleep. It is the fire that turns doubt into faith, fear into courage, hesitation into boldness. It is the fire that brings clarity in the middle of confusion, strength in the middle of weakness, and peace even in the middle of the storm. But here's the thing about fire, it does not start on its own. It needs a spark, it needs breath, it needs something to ignite it. And so do you. If you feel numb, if you feel like you've been going through the motions, if you feel like you've lost your way, it's not because you are broken. It's because you've been carrying things that were never meant to be yours. The weight of expectations, the burden of past regrets, the exhaustion of trying to be everything for everyone, while slowly losing yourself in the process. But when you allow something greater than yourself to breathe into you, when you invite a holy fire to take root in your soul, everything changes. You start to see yourself the way you were always meant to be, fully loved, deeply known, and destined for more than just survival. The lies that told you you're not enough begin to melt away. The fear that kept you small starts to lose its grip. The shame that whispered you are unworthy gets consumed by a love that refuses to let you go. This fire is waiting for you. It has always been waiting, but you have to want it. You have to ask for it. You have to be willing to let go of what is keeping you from burning the way you were meant to. That means releasing the need for control. That means surrendering the old stories that tell you you're not worthy. That means trusting that there is a love greater than your past, greater than your pain, greater than anything you have ever known. So tonight, take a breath. Open your heart, ask for the fire that will set you free, because you were not meant to live with a soul that is dim. You were made to shine. You were made to burn with a fire so fierce that it lights the way for others who are lost in the dark. And once that fire touches you, you will never be the same again. So often we pray for comfort. We ask for the storm to pass, for the weight to be lifted, for the struggle to end. And that's natural. Who wouldn't want relief when life feels overwhelming? But what if there's something greater waiting for you than just relief? What if instead of comfort, you asked for transformation? Transformation is different. It doesn't just soothe the pain, it changes you from the inside out. It doesn't just calm the storm around you, it strengthens you so that no storm can shake you. It doesn't just make the path easier, it equips you to walk it with courage, with clarity, with fire in your soul. The problem is, transformation isn't always easy. It requires surrender. It asks you to let go of the things that are keeping you from becoming who you were always meant to be. And sometimes the things we hold on to the tightest are the very things keeping us from freedom. Think about what happens when gold is refined. It goes through fire, not to destroy it, but to purify it. The fire burns away the impurities, the things that do not belong, leaving behind something stronger, something purer, something that shines. And that is exactly what happens when you ask not just for comfort, but for transformation. A fire so holy, so consuming, that it burns away every lie you've believed about yourself. A fire that refines your heart, melts away fear, and clears the path for you to step into the life you were created for. But here's the truth. Transformation isn't given to those who casually hope for it. It comes to those who are ready to release the need for control, ready to stop running from the past, ready to stop playing small, because you were not meant to live a life of quiet desperation, holding on to pieces of yourself that no longer serve you. You were made to be bold, to be free, to be filled with a fire that nothing in this world can put out. So tonight, shift your prayer. Don't just ask for things to get easier. Ask to be changed. Ask for the kind of strength that doesn't waver. Ask for the kind of love that heals the deepest wounds. Ask for the kind of fire that doesn't just light the way, but sets everything inside you ablaze with purpose. Because when that fire touches you, you won't just survive. You will rise. You will burn with a passion so deep, so undeniable, that nothing can stop you from stepping into the life that was always meant to be yours. There are moments in life when you feel trapped by fear, by doubt, by the weight of things you were never meant to carry. You tell yourself you should be strong enough to handle it, that you should be able to figure it all out, that maybe if you just try harder, push further, you'll finally feel free. But deep down, something isn't right. No matter how much you achieve, no matter how well you hide your struggles, there's still an ache in your heart, a quiet whisper asking, is this all there is? You were never meant to carry this alone. You were never meant to fight battles in silence, to pretend you have it all together while something inside you is breaking. But the beautiful, powerful truth is this: you don't have to. Because there is something greater, something stronger, something that sees every burden you carry and says, you don't have to do this by yourself anymore. When a fire touches something, it changes it. It doesn't leave things the same. And when a holy fire touches your soul, it doesn't just make you feel better for a moment. It transforms you. It consumes the shame that has been weighing you down. It burns away the lies that have kept you small. It melts the chains of fear and doubt that have held you back for too long. Suddenly, the things that once crushed you begin to lose their power. The burdens you thought you had to carry alone become lighter because you realize you were never meant to carry them at all. But here's the thing about this fire. You have to be willing to let it in. You have to stop holding on to what is breaking you. You have to trust that surrendering your fears is not weakness, but the bravest thing you will ever do. Because the moment you allow that fire to touch your heart, you will never be the same again. The weight you've been carrying for years will start to lift. The wounds that have felt impossible to heal will begin to mend. And the emptiness you've tried to fill with everything but the one thing that truly satisfies will finally be replaced with something real. So tonight, ask for more than just relief. Ask for fire. Ask to be transformed. Ask to be freed from everything that has kept you from living fully, from loving deeply, from stepping into your purpose with courage and conviction. Because once that fire touches you, you will not just survive, you will rise. And nothing, no fear, no doubt, no darkness will ever put that fire out again. Fire changes everything it touches. It does not leave things the way they were. It refines, it transforms, it consumes what no longer belongs. And that is exactly what happens when your heart is set on fire by something greater than yourself. The doubts that have kept you small begin to disappear. The fear that has whispered to you in the dark loses its grip. The chains that have held you back for so long start to break one by one. But here's the truth. This kind of fire is not gentle. It does not come to simply warm you. It comes to change you. It burns away the masks you've been wearing, the walls you've built to protect yourself, the stories you've told yourself about who you are and what you deserve. And sometimes that feels uncomfortable because we get used to carrying things that were never meant to be ours. We get attached to the very things that are keeping us from being free. But transformation requires surrender. It asks you to let go of what is familiar, even if what is familiar has been hurting you. It asks you to trust that on the other side of the fire is something purer, something stronger, something that was always meant to be yours. Because once the fire comes, there is no going back. The things that used to hold you down no longer have power over you. The voices that told you you weren't enough begin to fade into nothing. And in their place, you will find a strength you never knew was possible. This fire is not here to destroy you. It is here to set you free, to refine you into who you were always meant to be, to consume every lie, every fear, every weight that has been keeping you from stepping fully into your purpose. And once you've been touched by it, you will never be the same again. You will walk differently, you will speak differently, you will carry yourself with a confidence that doesn't come from your circumstances, but from something unshakable inside of you. So tonight, stop praying for things to just get easier. Stop asking for a life of comfort. Ask for fire. Ask for transformation. Ask for the kind of change that cannot be undone. Because once that fire touches you, once it burns away everything that is not meant to stay, you will finally be free. Free to live, free to love, free to be everything you were created to be. And nothing, no fear, no doubt, no darkness will ever put that fire out again. A fire that is not tended will eventually burn out, no matter how strong the flame starts. If it is not given oxygen, if it is not fed, it will fade into embers and then into nothing. The same is true for your soul. The fire inside you, the passion, the purpose, the deep sense of connection to something greater must be nurtured. You cannot expect it to burn brightly if you keep pouring doubt over it, if you keep allowing fear to suffocate it, if you keep feeding it with things that were never meant to sustain you. Too often we experience moments of awakening, moments when we feel the fire begin to stir in our hearts, when we sense that we are standing at the edge of something greater, and yet we let the distractions of life pull us away. We get caught up in the busyness, in the expectations, in the pressure to perform, to please, to prove, and before we know it, the fire we once felt so strongly begins to dim. Not because it wasn't real, not because it wasn't powerful, but because we didn't make space for it to grow. If you want the fire in your soul to burn, you must tend to it. You must choose every day to fuel it with truth, with surrender, with the willingness to let go of what is keeping you from fully stepping into who you were created to be. That means releasing the guilt that tells you you're not worthy. That means letting go of the past that has held you captive for too long. That means choosing courage over comfort, faith over fear, love over self-protection. It also means surrounding yourself with people who remind you of the fire inside you, people who speak truth into your life when you start to forget it, people who challenge you to keep growing when you feel like shrinking back, people who refuse to let you settle for a life that is anything less than what you were meant for. Because the fire within you is not just for you. It is meant to light the way for others. And when you let it burn, when you tend to it, when you protect it and feed it with things that bring life instead of things that drain it, that fire will not only change you, it will change everything around you. So tonight, ask for more than just a spark. Ask for the strength to keep the fire burning. Ask for the discipline to tend to it when life gets busy, when doubt creeps in, when the world tries to pull you away from what truly matters. Because a fire that is cared for, a fire that is fed, a fire that is given the space to grow, that kind of fire cannot be put out. That kind of fire changes lives. That kind of fire burns so brightly that even the deepest darkness has no choice but to flee. There will be moments when the fire inside you flickers, when doubt creeps in like a cold wind, when exhaustion settles in your bones, when the weight of the world makes you question if you were ever meant to burn brightly in the first place. These moments come for all of us. No one walks through life untouched by struggle. No one escapes the voice of fear that whispers, "What if you're not enough? What if you fail? What if you are chasing something that was never meant for you?" But here's what you need to remember. Fire does not die because of a single gust of wind. It does not vanish the moment darkness falls. The embers still glow beneath the surface, waiting to be stirred, waiting for the breath of something greater to fan them back into flames. The fire in your soul is no different. Just because you feel lost, just because you feel tired, just because the weight of life has pressed in on you does not mean that the fire has gone out. It only means you need to pause, to breathe, to remember who you are and whose you are. The world will try to convince you that passion fades, that purpose is for the lucky ones, that the fire you once felt was just a fleeting moment, but you know better. You have felt it before, the undeniable pull, the deep sense that you were meant for more than just surviving. You have seen glimpses of what happens when you walk in your purpose, when you speak with conviction, when you move with the kind of boldness that comes from knowing you are not walking alone. That fire is still inside you. It has never left. But fire must be fed. It needs oxygen, it needs space, it needs fuel to keep burning. You must choose, even on the hard days, to give it what it needs. That means leaning into truth instead of fear. That means surrounding yourself with people who remind you of the fire inside you instead of those who try to extinguish it. That means refusing to shrink back just because life feels uncertain, just because the road ahead is unclear. So tonight, if you feel like your fire has dimmed, if you feel like you are running on empty, if you feel like you are too tired to keep going, don't give up. The fire is still there. It is waiting for you to breathe life back into it, to choose to stand when everything in you wants to sit down, to believe that what is inside you is stronger than anything that comes against you. Because once you let that fire rise again, once you reclaim the passion, the purpose, the holy conviction that was always meant to burn inside you, there will be no stopping you. And no darkness, no doubt, no fear will ever be able to put it out. There is something powerful about knowing that the fire inside you is not just for you. We spend so much of our lives searching for meaning, for purpose, for something that makes all the struggles worthwhile. And when that fire touches your soul, when you feel the unmistakable pull of something greater than yourself, it becomes clear you were never meant to keep this fire to yourself. You were meant to spread it, to share it, to set the world ablaze with the light that burns within you. But here's what often happens. Fear creeps in and tells you that you are not ready, that you are not wise enough, strong enough, brave enough to carry this fire forward, that someone else is more equipped, more qualified, more capable. And so you hesitate, you hold back, you convince yourself that one day when you feel more prepared, you will step fully into who you are meant to be. But the truth is, fire doesn't wait for you to be ready. It simply burns. It moves. It consumes what is in its path and spreads beyond what you ever thought possible. Your fire is meant to ignite others. It is meant to bring warmth to those who have been living in the cold. It is meant to bring light to those who have been stumbling in the dark. It is meant to awaken those who have been sleepwalking through life, waiting for permission to step into their own purpose. And when you live fully in your fire, when you stop holding back, when you stop waiting until you feel qualified, when you step boldly into the calling on your life, you give others permission to do the same. Think about the people who have inspired you the most, They were not perfect. They were not fearless. They were simply people who refused to let their fire go out. And because of them, you were changed. Because of them, something inside you woke up. And now it is your turn. You do not have to be the strongest. You do not have to have all the answers. You simply have to be willing to let your fire burn, willing to share your story, willing to step into the unknown with a kind of faith that says, I may not have it all figured out, but I know I was made for more than this. So tonight, stop waiting. Stop doubting, stop believing the lie that your fire is too small to make a difference, because the world needs what is inside you. Someone out there is waiting for the light you carry. And when you finally let your fire burn the way it was always meant to, you will see that it was never just about you. It was always about something greater, something deeper, something that will live on long after you are gone. And that is the kind of fire that will never, ever be put out. There comes a moment when you have to decide, will you let the fire in your soul burn, or will you let the fear of the unknown keep you from stepping into what you were made for? It's easy to stand at the edge of something great and hesitate. It's easy to second guess yourself, to wonder if you are strong enough, worthy enough, ready enough. But here's the truth. The fire inside you was never meant to be tamed. It was never meant to be kept small. It was meant to consume everything that is not real, everything that is not love, everything that keeps you from becoming who you were created to be. You've spent too much time doubting yourself, too much time waiting for the right moment, the right sign, the right feeling of certainty before you move. But fire doesn't wait for perfect conditions. Fire moves, fire spreads, fire changes everything in its path. And now it is your time to let it move through you, to let it lead you, to trust that it is not here to destroy you, but to refine you into something stronger, something bolder, something more powerful than you have ever imagined. This is not about being fearless. It's about being willing. Willing to walk into the unknown even when your knees shake. Willing to speak truth even when your voice trembles. Willing to trust that the fire inside you is greater than the fear trying to hold you back. Every person who has ever changed the world did so with a fire inside them, not because they had all the answers, not because they had everything figured out, but because they refused to let fear keep them small. You were made for this fire. You were made to stand in its heat and let it burn away the doubt, the hesitation, the old stories that say you are not enough. You were made to rise, to walk forward with a confidence that does not come from your circumstances, but from something unshakable inside you. And when you do, when you finally step fully into the fire, when you stop running, when you stop hiding, you will realize that you are never meant to live a life of hesitation. You are meant to live a life of boldness, a life of passion, a life that lights up everything and everyone around you. So tonight, let the fire burn, let it rise, let it take everything that has been holding you back and turn it into fuel. And when the world sees you standing in that fire, unshaken, unafraid, unstoppable, they will know that something greater is moving through you, and nothing, no darkness, no doubt, no fear will ever put that fire out again. There comes a point in life when you have to decide whether you will live cautiously or courageously, whether you will let fear dictate your steps or allow something greater to guide you forward. The fire you long for, the transformation you seek is already inside you. It has always been there waiting for you to stop dimming your own light, waiting for you to stop apologizing for wanting more, waiting for you to surrender the weight of everything that was never meant to define you. The world has tried to convince you that you need to be smaller, safer, quieter. It has told you to be realistic, to stay in your comfort zone, to only take steps when you are absolutely sure of the outcome. But that is not how fire works. Fire is wild. Fire is bold. Fire does not ask for permission to burn. It simply does. And that is what you were meant to do. You were meant to burn with a passion so fierce that it consumes every doubt, every fear, every lie that has ever told you that you were not enough. You were meant to live with a conviction so strong that even when the world tries to put out your light, you shine anyway. This is not about waiting for the perfect moment. This is not about having all the answers. This is about being willing to step forward even when you don't know what's next. It's about believing that the fire inside you is stronger than any storm you will ever face. It's about trusting that you were never meant to carry your burdens alone, that there is something greater at work in you, something calling you deeper, something refusing to let you stay where you are. So tonight, stand up. Shake off the hesitation, the doubt, the fear that has kept you from stepping fully into your purpose. Stand in the fire. Let it refine you. Let it transform you. Let it awaken something in you that cannot be ignored. Because once you allow that fire to consume everything that is not meant for you, once you stop fighting it and start embracing it, you will realize that you were never meant to live a life of playing small. You were meant to burn. You were meant to rise. You were meant to set the world on fire with love, with courage, with a relentless passion that will never be put out. And when you walk in that fire, when you finally embrace the fullness of who you were created to be, there will be no stopping you. The world will see your light, and it will never be the same again.